With that, ladies and gentlemen, in this room, I want to welcome on the stage, last speaker of this session, 2026, Tony Mulligan.
Hello, everyone. Before I start, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's try a live experiment. I'll need someone to join me up on stage. At the end there, you won't mind joining me, miss? Either. And you just stand over here. If you won't mind waiting up with me until I ask you to sit back down. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this black envelope. I want you to flip it over when you're ready, read it, but don't say anything out loud. Did you feel that? There was no word spoken there, but you felt something, right? That is the power of words. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words, they'll never hurt me, right? Let's tell the truth about that. It's a lie. Whoever told you that was lying to you. Because words can really hurt. Words can stay. They stay much longer than the moment they were said in, and they stay much longer than the person that said them. Words can ruin your day, your week, your month, your confidence. One sentence said at the wrong time from the wrong person can change the way you see yourself forever. Now let's try something different. I'll hand you this envelope and same again, read it, but don't say it out loud. Same person, same moment, different words. Words can destroy, but words, they can also rebuild identity, confidence, hope, belief. I know this, not because I read it in a book somewhere or because I studied some course. I know this because I lived it. I know this because it's been my life. You won't mind sitting back down. Thank you very much for that. Oof. Now, when I met my neurosurgeon for the very first time, I'll never forget these words he said to me. He said, Anthony, the type of brain tumor you have is fatal. It will win. My job, hopefully, is to keep you here until I retire. He's a bit older than me. Was his words cruel? They weren't cruel. They were real. They were very, very real. And just like that, my life became a countdown. I've had 4 brain surgeries. I have what's called a recurring brain tumor, which means eventually it will get the better of me. Now, I don't know when that day is going to be, but I do know that day is coming. I've had complications after all of my brain surgeries. After my second brain surgery, I lost my speech. I couldn't put 2 words together. In fact, it took me 12 months to get my speech back to a natural flow, and even to this day, I still stumble sometimes. So I can appreciate the power of a voice and the weight of the words that it can carry. Now, after my 4th brain surgery, that's when trouble really hit. When I woke up, I was half paralyzed. This side, it was completely dead. I couldn't move, I couldn't stand. They needed a hoist to lift me in and out of bed. Hoists, wheelchairs, bed pads, and bedpans. That was my life. 8 long months in rehab facilities, away from home, away from everything familiar. I couldn't do anything for myself. But I was fixing to fight, because I learned that from an early age in life. When I was 6 years old, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. And for the next 13 years, I watched her go to war every single day before I had to watch her fight for her last breath. Later on, after one of my brain surgeries whilst I was in recovery, my dad, he was diagnosed with a terminal brain tumor. What are the odds? and he was given 4 months left to live. I watched that man battle for 2 years with a smile on his face before I had to watch him fight for his last breath. Now, I've learned a lot of things from my parents, but one of the most important things I learned from them is I come from fighters. It's in my blood, my DNA. No excuses. There's no quit here. It's not about the dog that's in the fight. It's about the fight that's in the dog. Then, one day, whilst I was in my room in the rehab facility, 3 doctors walked in. There I was, slouched in my chair. My it's barely responding. And the doctors asked, "What are you hoping to get out here, Anthony?" I said, I'm here to get back 100% and more. Let's go. Positive, right? They smiled awkwardly amongst each other. And one even laughed. And she said, "Anthony, you work hard in here harder than anybody else. You don't have a ceiling. You need to have a ceiling. And that's why I have to tell you, you're never getting back to normal." 6 words. Just like that, ripped my entire universe apart. There I was, slouched in my chair, half paralyzed, feeling useless, feeling like a burden to my family for the rest of my life. I was no longer a patient anymore. I was a problem that couldn't be fixed. And the worst part of it all was I believed it. The power of words, right? I believed them. I began to think about my own mortality in ways that I never had before. And in those dark, quiet, sleepless nights, alone, I realized something even darker. I'll never get to see my twin boys grow up into men. I'll never see them get in trouble, chase girls, start their own families. I'll never be a granddad. Those thoughts sent me down a dark alleyway that just led to a dead end. And I wasn't sure I'd be able to find my way home. I was scared. Not because of dying. I was scared of not living long enough to see my boys live. Those were the toughest nights. Then one evening, after my full day of rehab, I decided to get on the exercise bike. Started cycling. One of the nurses walked by, said, "How far have you gone, Anthony?" I said, 5 kilometers. She said, "Anthony, that's madness. You're a madman." Those 6 words, that's when it clicked. That's when I realized I hadn't been losing the battle. I'd been believing the wrong words. Yes, they have the stats, they have the facts, the data, they have everything, but they don't know madness. They haven't seen madness, and they definitely don't know the fight that's in this dog. So I thought, okay, if you think 5 kilometers madness, I'll do 6, I'll do 8, I'll do 10, I'll do 20 kilometers every evening from now on. And I did that. Another time a carer was walking by, he came up to me with tears in his eyes, his voice was cracking. He said, "Anthony, when you first got here, you fell a lot. You couldn't stand by yourself. Today I saw you walk out that door, grab your cardigan, put it on like you were late for a bus." That sentence meant more to me than any diagnosis ever could, because it reminded me of who I am. For some reason, people will go out of their way to put you down. And they'll tell you, "You'll never start that company. You're too old. You're too broken. You're a nobody." Some people go through life never being tested, never finding out what they're truly made of. Because there is something so powerful about facing a moment in life that does everything it can to try and break you. And instead of breaking, you decide to build. So remember, the next time that someone looks at you and tells you, you will never, smile, nod, and go do it anyways. Because limits, they only exist if you believe them. I was told my limits. I was told how my story ends, right? No, sir. I chose not to believe them. And that choice, it changed everything for me. Now I run, I swim, I cycle, I play golf. I don't do these things when I feel like doing them. I do them because I have them written on my schedule. And here I am today, stood in front of all you beautiful people, reclaiming my life. So, be careful of the words that you choose to believe, because they don't just end up describing your life. They can become your life. Thank you for listening to me.